yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm in my living room coming to you from Vancouver, Canada. So welcome. Today is Saturday, January the 11th, 2020, and this is video number 26. I'm going to be showcasing some finished works, some works in progress, and a little bit of an experiment I'd love to get your feedback on. It is not considered a finished work by any means, it's just an exploration with yarn. I want to also thank all of the comments from the previous videos that subscribers and visitors have left me. So thank you very much for those. Anyone who's just joining this video podcast, whatever it is, recording, is of my yarn journey. I am 10 months into knitting and crocheting and I love it. I'm addicted. I try and get some done every day. And these are videos that record my obstacles, my successes, and my interaction with the yarning community. So I hope that you'll sit back and enjoy this video while I go through some of the items that I'm going to talk about today. In particular, I'm going to be featuring in this video an inspiration point for myself, how I come up with colors, and what I do to put them into my garments and my ideas when I knit and crochet. So without further ado, let's get stuck into the first finished garment is what I'm wearing. So you saw in a video perhaps going back November, December of last year, I had started this shawl scarf piece, and the end result was a delicious fabric, just light, bouncy, and right now it's I'm wearing it. It's not I'm not overheating in it, and it is not itchy. It's very soft. So so many pluses about this fabric that I created. I used a crochet. I used single crochet and a chain one. So I alternated on every row. So when I was doing a crochet, single crochet, next row round I would actually single crochet into the chain one below. So it gave this lovely fabric. Here, just show you. And I will take it off so you can see it, because perhaps maybe you haven't seen the other videos, and I'm just going to give you a little quick preview of it. I've spoken about this a number of times in previous videos, but just to recap very quickly on the yarn that I used Ice Yarns. It was a remix cake in the colorway white, grey, black, red. So it ombre'd through, and I chopped it up and I made stripes in it. And then this red was a Knit Picks in the Hawthorn series, and this is a fingering weight yarn, and it was the colorway name was Picnic, and this speckled yellow yarn here was from Ancient Arts, and it said on the ball band it was a sock weight, and it didn't give me a colorway name or number, so there's no reference there, sorry about that. And yeah, it's in the parallelogram shape, so the increase decreasing went like this, and it's around 6.5 feet long from point to point. So I love that a lot. I have other styles of ombre that I am going to be using to make up more garments in that fabric. So just to give you a little bit of a touch point on if you can't get ice yarns, there is a variety of yarn that ombres in the Red Heart series called It's a Wrap, and I have a few of those. And also if you are on Amazon, you might find it in the Etrofil. Etrofil is a brand of yarn, and they also have that style of ombre as well. Okay, so the next finished product is, I should say item, is this scarf here. I had it on the needles in the last video, but it's completed and it's in garter stitch. I used a pattern for this one and it's from a website called Drops, and I'm going to put the pattern down below in the description box so you can link to it, and if you so like to, you could use it as well. And I gave it a little fringe on the end because I was running out of the various yarns, and I'm not sure whether I will keep the fringe on, but I'll live with it for a while and I'll make my mind up then. But how this looks, oh yeah, this is me. So many ways of wearing it. This is how I normally wear my scarves. So it sort of bunches in the front. So a little bit about this, recapping, it was 3 different types of yarn, and the first one was Lion Brand's Pound of Love in the colorway charcoal, and it's a considered 4-weight yarn. And also from Lion Brand's Shawl in the Ball, considered a 5-weight yarn, but this is not a 5-weight yarn. It is a 4-weight yarn, and I would even say 3. But yeah, and it in the colorway Feng Shui, so grays, charcoal grays to like almost a white, an off-white. And then Michael's has a brand called Loops and Thread, and in that collection it was called Color, I think Color Collection, in the colorway Coffee and Cream, and that also ombre between, or self-stripe between whites, greys and blacks. So all in the same kind of color palette, and very nice fabric in the end. I had used a 36-inch set of circular needles, not a set, it's one, and the circumference of the needles was 5.5 millimeters. So it ended up being a lovely fabric. So when you lay it flat, because the nature of me holding 2 yarns going up and back and then switching out, going up and back, and then occasionally just going up with one, back with the other, if you were to lay it flat, you would see that some of the surface of it undulated, where I held 2, where I held 1, so it's kind of corrugated a little bit. So it's a lovely texture. It's not itchy at all. None of these yarns that I've mentioned are itchy. It's all 100% acrylic. There might be some other fibers put in there that are man-made or synthetic, but no natural animal fibers are in these yarns. So it's very, very soft. The third thing that I finished was this cozy. So I got a request from hubby's colleague at work, and she wanted a cozy made up for her mason jar. So I don't really know the dimensions, but I believe they are 12 inches in circumference and about 5.5 inches in height. It's a tube, so that will sit around the glass jar. And what I did was I double crocheted this, and every row of crochet that I completed, I changed out the color. So it uses 4 different yarns, which I won't go into, but that's what it looks like there. Yeah, it's a cute way of dressing up your I guess your jars in your cupboard. And that completes the finished products or finished items. The next thing that I want to talk about is recapping of a garment that I started months ago, maybe in November, and it was to a pattern called the Vermouth Cardigan, and I will link that down below. And this is the one that how much I had done of it in the last video was up to this stitch marker here, which I got from the Canadian crocheter, Debbie. Thank you so much. It's like a little jade bear. So cute. So what I got up to was to here in the last one, so I got like an extra 4 inches of the body work, and I've completed the necessary steps for the pattern until the arms join. So I've got 20 inches of body garment so far, and I've just a tip here. I actually threaded through with the needle in the last row that I've got of live stitches. I threaded through a lifeline, so when I do come to joining the arms, when I finish the arms to this piece, I can always rip it back if there's any problems with stitch count or the raglan style decrease doesn't work. I can always frog back and know that I have this lifeline waiting for and safeguarding the stitches. And that's actually a great tip that I saw on another YouTuber's channel, can't quite remember where, but it helps get you back to a stage just before you join everything without any complications. And at the end of the garment, this lifeline, you can just pull that out from the garment and there will be no, I guess, problems with the stitches looking any different. So that is the body part, and I started my first, oh my god, I've got like so many yarns getting all tangled up here. I started my first sleeve here, so I've done about 7 inches of the sleeve. So that's what the sleeve texture looks like. I'm going to continue on with this texture until 10 inches, where it will meet up exactly where the 10 inches of the cardigan ribbing is, and then it goes into the body pattern of the pattern that I'm using. So the 2 yarns that I'm using for that one are Ice's, where is it? I don't know where the label is. I think it's called, I don't know. Anyway, I'm using this together. It's called the Utopia Baby, and this was also from Hobium, and this one's from Ice. It's a cotton base, a cotton acrylic base, and this one is acrylic. So I will link to the description box the 2 yarns that I use because I can't find the label right now. The other pattern is the other experiment that I'm going to show you is the color experiment, which I'm not too sure whether I'm going to continue, but it is a little bit of an experiment so I can see what stitch work I'm doing and what the effects are of the stitch work. But this is it here, using the same circular needles that I use for the black and white, this one here. I am trying out different stitches and mixing yarns, so I probably won't get the full effect of how this works up until I cast off the needles and then have it like around my body just to see. But what I'm doing in this is I'm going up and back, doing short rows as well in between. So as I go up and down the needles, I'll turn around before I get to the other end, and I will knit back the other way, and then knit back this way, and then knit back that way, and create undulation that way in the garment. So that's the effect. Maybe there's a better area I can show you in. Oh yeah, here. So here you can see it's sort of like getting bigger and smaller, and then here bigger as well, bigger, smaller. So that's from going up and back doing short rows. And what I'm finding is that it's getting a nice organic flow through the fabric, and it's creating some puckering and some corrugation that may look really nice when it's sort of around your neck, bunched up like that. The colors that I'm using in this particular garment is Yarn Be Soft and Sleek, and it is in the colorway Denim Blues. I'm using Lion Brand's Ferris Wheel in the colorway Evergreen, and I'm using Kartopu Angora Natural. It doesn't have a colorway, but the number here is K1391. Now this one is a different weight and a different, it's not acrylic. So these two here are acrylic 4 weight, and this one here is, I believe, a mix of wool, mohair and acrylic, and it's considered a 2 weight. So when I've used this one, I've actually doubled up the thread and held 2 thread while I go up and down the needles. So yeah, those are the 3 colorways that I'm using in this garment here. What I like about the Yarn Bees Denim Blues is that it is a tonal, it's a tonal yarn. So it's providing me with these washed blue looks and also a more denim, dark denim blue. So it's actually doing a lot of the work for me with the different colors. So yeah, that's that. Now I wanted to address some of the inspiration points that I use for my color. And in this household we have a lot of magazines, we have a lot of art books, we have like recipe books in the kitchen that use, or even when we go traveling we'll pick up magazines, or if we're like holidaying there might be like a program or whatever with beautiful photography. So we have a collection of those that I look through to get inspiration. So I've got a few to show you within the various types of ways that I see great photography and getting my inspiration. So what we have here are some magazines. Ooh, there we go. And this one here is from Wine Country, Ontario. It's a travel guide. And I flagged here just a beautiful photograph of grapes in a vineyard, and getting the color kind of palette from photographs like this is a great source of inspiration or reference. So what I normally do that works well for me is I'll cut out of a piece of card or a sheet of paper the shape that I'm thinking of building in crochet or knit. So I will do a rectangle long kind of miniature scarf and cut a window out of the card or the piece of paper. Or if I'm doing a triangular shape for a shawl, I will cut that out. So what I do with those windows is that I put them over, like I do a small version of it, and I put it over the image and I will move it around to see what kind of balance of color that I like in that shape. So if I have it say over here, so it's a rectangle, I see that I like maybe 80% of it in this pastel-y greens, and then a 10% of that really strong purple. So that's a neat way of understanding how much yarn or equipment that you need to buy for your project when you're purchasing for the colors. That's one way of looking at balancing up your color texture, and also how much yarn you need to buy. Here again, it's Vancouver Island Explore. So I picked this up, I think, from BC Ferries, and just a beautiful nature shot up there of bull kelp, I think it is, and then some sea urchins. Do the same thing with the little windows that you've created. Slide it around, get an idea of the color composition that you're looking at, and that will give you an idea of how much yarn to purchase. And a little property property kind of spec sheet here with a beautiful photograph of a like a sunset and all these lovely interior colors. You could put your little window over there and get some ideas on color as well. And the nice thing about architectural ones, also with the nature ones, is that you might actually capture a composition of the structure that you like as well. So if you had your window here where these heavy lines come down, you might want to incorporate where those lines are coming down in your fabric as well. So that could work in not just the color suggestion, but also the suggestion of your composition, where the colors are going to sit in your garment. We have architectural books, and here's one that is basically ready to go into a shawl. It's buildings, but looking at this one reminded me a lot of recently one of the subscribers commented that I should look at Stephen West, and this particular picture here reminds me of his Vertice Unites shawl. But you could create your own Vertice Unites with cutting out these shapes and joining them together. Here's another one that's sort of similar to that. It's beautiful structural lines here of the fields below the sky, and you can use the same colorway or change up the colors. This book is amazing, like, just to give you some ideas of where else you can get some colors or structure. Just roads that kind of like give you all of these geometric shapes. And, oh, here's a good one. Colors in like fields of vegetables and fruit and crops. And if you don't have any of these wonderful references within your house, you'll be surprised where you can actually find them. So if you can't source any photographs easily, I would suggest that you open up your closet or your wardrobe, and where you have either your garments folded or whether you have your garments hanging, that you take a photograph of what you have. And this is what I'm going to show you from another book. That will give you your color selection. So this is a photograph from, I guess it's a retail store where they're selling lots of garments like pajamas and I guess night dresses. And this is what you can do with your own closet. And here across here, they've got all these different selection of colorways that you could match that are taken from your wardrobe. That way when you create a garment, you can be assured that it's going to blend in well. You have plenty of those other coordinates that would work, and it actually makes you feel confident that you'll use the garment because you have clothing already within that color spectrum. So those are a few of the suggestions that I can help with how to source the colors. So that's what I'm going through a little bit here right now, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to make this into a series of work, or I might actually hate the idea in the end, but it's just a little bit of going through the drills and seeing what yarns react with other yarns, and a little bit of that back and forth, the short rows. I have never done that before in a scarf like this, so it's going to be interesting. So I'm adding in this clip something that I had forgot to mention, and it is a big thank you to two individuals out there in the yarning community, both of which I am a very big fan of, and I watch their channels religiously. And that is Seta from Seta's Place. She called me out in her last video, and I just wanted to say a big thank you, Seta, for giving me a shout out. I honestly have been watching your journey even prior to starting my own YouTube channel. I watched you travel across North America and your journey, and how many people that you met and touched along the way. So thank you for that. And also I got in my mail a happy Happy Holidays card from Raoul of the Dabbling Hook, another fantastic individual. I just adore both of you. Thank you so much. I believe that's all I have to showcase today. So I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your weekend, and I would hope that you could give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I'd appreciate that. Share with your yarny friends this connection or this channel, and if you're a new subscriber and have enjoyed this little segment of my yarny journey, please think about subscribing. I'd love to have you in our little yarn friend collection, and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.